What's going on, guys? Matt from the Trojan Brotherhood, and today I want to talk about USC's red hot recruiting. In the past week, USC has landed a commitment from 4-star quarterback Jonas Williams and 4-star top 100 defensive lineman Samote Koatanga. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, I'm sure I did. But these two commits have put them as the number one class in 2026 so far, which is obviously huge momentum for the program. But the question is going to be, can we keep this up? Because in the past, we've had recruiting weekends kind of like this, but then a lot of decommits, we kind of fall off and end up somewhere between the 10th and 20th best class, which is obviously not up to USC standards. But diving into the current commits we have right now, the defensive class is loaded with the number one linebacker in the country, Xavier Griffin, 2 top 100 corners out of California, which I know you all love, in RJ Sermons and Brandon Lockhart, 2 4-star defensive linemen in Samote and Braden Jones. It truly has been a masterclass in any way you want to look at it. They recruited every position on defense. They got their quarterback, they got their running back, and most importantly for all of you, they've cleaned up in California. But like I said earlier, as Trojan fans, we know that the past 2 classes we've had that big month with names like Justice Terry, Isaiah Gibson, Ryan Pelham, Jerome Myers. The list can go on and on with these commits we had a year in advance of signing day. They end up decommitting, and it is very, very frustrating. So it is reasonable to be worried about these guys that have committed and if they're going to stay. But what I would say to that is, this is why we hired Chad Bowden, to be able to use our resources wisely, not just pay guys like Justice Terry or Isaiah Gibson, who it's going to be really, really difficult to pry them away from Georgia to begin with. No, let's go get Samote, let's get Brandon Lockhart, these guys in California who are all about USC, who are more likely to stay committed for a year or two. And really, I think he's done a fantastic job in such a short time, and I think a lot of this should be credited to Chad Bowden, as well as, of course, Lincoln Riley. But as for Chad Bowden specifically, a lot of talk around college football and the high school coaches, the high school recruits, and college sports writers is that Chad Bowden is the best in the business. He is really highly regarded, and that's really what college football is about. You need big names as coaches, GMs, or whatever, so that these high school kids, these high school parents, these high school coaches can trust in you to develop them into NFL players. And that's what I think USC has going for them right now, with the NFL coaches on the defensive staff, with Lincoln Riley's ability to produce quarterbacks and get them to that number one pick, to get them that Heisman. And so far, I can't say enough about Chad Bowden. I really do think the hire is paying off. But taking a step away from these specific recruits, I think having the number one class is just a continuation of what has been an incredible offseason for USC. You keep D'Anton Lynn, replace Matt Entz with a really nice hire. Of course, you hire Chad Bowden. You get some big-time transfers like the defensive lineman. And then you put together the number one recruiting class for 2026. The momentum right now for USC is big time. And it really, really makes me excited about the future, because as a program, they've done every single thing they could do in order to be successful. They've hired a great front office, great coaching staff, and they've recruited, which are the 3 things you need as a football program. But of course, you can do as much as you want off the field. What's going to matter is what happens on the field every single Saturday. And with the momentum USC seems to have right now, I think I can confidently say that this year is going to be one of the most important seasons USC has had in program history. And that might sound crazy to say, but the reason I'm saying that is there is so much riding on this one year to show what this program is going to be, what this Lincoln Riley era is going to be when we look back at it in 20 years. I think this is the year where everything starts. Because on one hand, you have all this momentum with Bowden, with the recruiting, but you're also coming off of 2 terrible seasons. So it can go 2 ways for me. A good season can be the start of a new era for USC, because you have that successful year, you have your 2026 athletes come in, you develop them. Husan Longstreet's your quarterback of the future, you got 2 more years of him, and as a program, you're rolling. There's no one that's going to stop you. However, if you have a 7-win season, even maybe an 8-win season, another disappointing season, as fans, we're going to be sick and Riley with 3 straight years like that. Recruits are going to want out. Players are going to hit the portal if you're coming off 3 unsuccessful seasons. Because it doesn't matter what recruiting class you're coming in. If you win 8 games, 7 games, 7 games as USC, that's just not going to cut it. And so the talk around USC would be, is Lincoln Riley need to be fired? What's the problem? Then teams like Oregon, teams like Notre Dame are going to use this against us. Do you really want to go over there? It's a dumpster fire. So really what I'm trying to say is that Obviously, every year is important, but for this season in particular, I think that however this season goes, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's going to be hard to get this program off that track. Whether it's good, because if we have a good season, we win 10 games, maybe even 9 games, we make the playoffs, you got Longstreet coming back, the recruits coming in, you got other young guys like Cam Fountain, that puts you on that track of success, and no one's going to derail this USC program. And what I mean by that is, if you have a good season, every aspect of USC is rolling. I already explained the tremendous offseason they had. Then you start putting wins together, USC will become the place to be once again, and no one's going to stop this train when it's rolling. But like I said, if we do have that bad year, I think it'll be tough to recover from 3 straight bad years and get the momentum back on your side. But with that being said, with me thinking this is one of the most important years we've had, I genuinely feel really good about the season, because what I mean by a successful season, we don't have to go 11-1. I think you go 9-3, you just missed the playoffs. I think you still have some momentum on your side because it is a young team, and I don't think that anyone, including USC fans, are expecting like a championship push this year. So the expectations aren't too high. We just can't have another dud of a season. But anyways, that's a little update on the program and the recruiting, which is red hot right now, and it's truly amazing to see, because let's just face it, USC has not recruited well in the past 2 seasons. Those classes are not of a USC standard. This one certainly is. Let's hope we can stay in that top 5 range. That would be a huge stepping stone for Lincoln Riley in this program. And honestly, I feel really confident about that. But as I've stated several times, Lincoln Riley has the most important transfer portal cycle of his career coming up very shortly. So let me know down below in the comments, what positions should USC prioritize for this spring transfer portal? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more Trojans content, but for now, fight on.